Hi, it's Nathaniel Whiston here, and you join me on another Legends of West Anglia. And today I'm going to the very western edges of the region, very western frontiers of West Anglia, you could say. And I'm going to the parish of Stowe IX Churches. It's near Towcester and Daventry, but neither of those two are in West Anglia, so we're not going to count them. It's west of Northampton, it's west of Collingtree, and it's west of Rothersthorpe. It's in West Northamptonshire, and it's in West Anglia. The legend of Stowe IX Churches is to do with fairies, so this is quite an unusual one. About 1,000 years ago they were building St Michael's Church, or what was to be St Michael's Church. They'd chosen their site, they'd contracted the builders, they went out day one of the job, broke the sod and got their work done. They came back the next morning and their tools had all gone, all the work from the previous day had been destroyed, and something very odd had obviously occurred. They came back the next day, they just started again, and the following morning it was the same. Everything had been destroyed. They came back the next day, the next day, the next day. 8 times they did this. 8 times. Then some clever dick pointed out that they were trying to build the church on a fairy ring. Now, if you know your folklore, or you know a bit about fairies, you'll know that you don't muck around with fairy rings, because all sorts of calamities can befall you, befell you, befall you, befell you. One of those is right. All sorts of calamities can come your way. So what they decided to do was go and find another site, and then when they started building there, it went absolutely fine. They got the church, built it, and that was the end of that. So today I'm hoping to see a fairy ring myself, investigate it. I hope for the sake of this video that I am going to see something. Otherwise it's a long way to drive with not much reward. I should have brought a sat nav. I should have brought a sat nav. I just can't remember what junction it is. Now, there may be some conjecture about whether Stowe IX Churches is actually in West Anglia, it being so close to the very edge of it, but I checked the postcode and I checked which television region it's in, and it gets Anglia, it gets Look East, therefore it's in the Anglian region, and it's west, so it's West Anglia. So I don't want to hear any more argument about it. That's decided, that's final. I've checked. I have checked. It's West Anglia. No Jeremy again today. My cameraman, he is dealing with a squirrel in his attic. I'm glad I don't have a squirrel in my attic, but if I did, I would make sure I dealt with it on a day I didn't make other plans. Just saying. Hi Lucy, it's Nathaniel here. I don't really know why I'm calling today. I'm going to Stowe IX Churches in Northamptonshire. I'm not asking you to come along. I'm sure there's a nice pub there, we could even get some food, but I'm not calling to invite you along. I'm calling because I don't know why I'm calling. Look, I'm probably not going to call again, so alright, okay, alright, bye. See, there's a turning, Northampton, Wellingborough, junction 15. I can't remember if it's this or 16. There's another junction, 15A. 15A? What does that mean? Should be 15, 16. Where's 15A come from? We've been put into consultation at work, which means I might lose my job. redundancy. We've got a bit of a bonus today because also in Stowe IX Churches, in 1978 there was a famous UFO sighting, perhaps the most famous in Northamptonshire, possibly the most famous in West Anglia in the 1970s. And so I'm going to go visit the spot where a 50-year-old woman spotted a dumbbell-shaped craft with red and green lights, and she then had 15 minutes of her life which are unaccounted for. So I'm going to go to that spot. Well, it's on the way, and we're going to see if there's anything going on there too. Bit of a bonus. I'm dicing with extraterrestrial life and possibly being abducted, which, with the way my life is going at the minute, would be a relief. Right, we're off the beaten track for a bit. Saw a sign for the Grand Union Canal behind me. Yeah, this should be fine, enough room. Here we are, Stowe IX Churches. These birds are really noisy. It's probably going to pick them up on the camera. Can't really turn them down. Adds character, doesn't it? I should mention that in St Michael's Church over there, you can see the tomb of Lady Elizabeth Danvers. She was an English noblewoman. She was a great wit and spirit, a great politician, revengeful. That's what it said. Mates with Shakespeare, apparently. Quite the woman. She was also the mother of Sir Charles Danvers, who plotted to execute Elizabeth I, and Sir John Danvers, who signed the death warrant for Charles I. So two sons of hers who were not keen on the royal family. She's buried in there in a very nice tomb. It's said to be one of the nicest sculpture pieces of its time. We're not going to see it today. I've got my hands full with the other two, the fairies and the UFOs. That's more history. I'm a bit more myths and legends. So if you do want to see it, great, come to Stowe IX Churches, go in there, have a look. I'm not going to have a look at it today, okay? Fairy rings that we're looking for today, they're mushrooms, toadstools in a circular formation. The fairies can be found hiding under them as umbrellas, or sometimes they leap from toadstool to toadstool as a kind of game. Yeah. It's crazy really, isn't it? Depending on the legends you read, are different. Depending on the legend, cartoon films and children's stories will have you believe that fairies are nice creatures, friendly. But in all the stories I've read, they're vicious, sadistic creatures, happy to kill you as soon as you set foot into one of their rings. Their justice is swift, and it's unforgiving. I've come here today expecting to see fairy rings, or at least something that might look like a fairy ring, but I've just discovered there's a huge field and there is definitely no fairy rings in there, and that's kind of pissed on my chips a bit. That these are all crops. Jeremy, I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. I thought that there was going to be a lot of fields with fairy rings on, or at least things that look like fairy rings, mushrooms. Instead, it's just crops. I don't even know what kind of crops. I'm not good at that kind of thing. Could keep walking in this direction, but I don't think I'm going to see a fairy ring. Well, I can see a crops everywhere you look. I'm sitting here in the grounds of St Michael's Church, and it's a really nice spot. And if you just take a look at the views that I'm enjoying right now, then I can't help but wonder that maybe the fairies were doing us a favour by moving those tools, disrupting the church, and making sure that it was built here instead of somewhere else where you wouldn't get to enjoy these views. So maybe they're not the evil creatures that folklore makes them out to be. Maybe they are quite helpful. They did the right thing here, that's for sure. I'm now off to investigate this UFO incident. So I'm on the road now where the UFO sighting occurred. Well, I think it's this road. It's either this one, or there's one further up here, which I'm walking towards, the A5. It's a bit busier. I think it's this one. Anyway, it's definitely in this airspace. Have a look there. It's in this airspace that it happened. Driving along, saw the dumbbell-shaped craft, remember? Red light and a green light. Metallic in texture and look. All that. Yeah. Disappeared for 15 minutes. We'll keep an eye on the camera's got a timer, so we can check if I haven't unaccounted for 15 minutes. Who knows? It's possible. The lady who had this UFO experience was called Elsie, and she was a school teacher. Now, school teachers are seen as upstanding members of the community, and that gave her sighting extra weight because people were more likely to believe her, and she had no reason for making it up. So it is a curious tale. I'm not sure I quite subscribe to that theory is maybe the better word for it, because upstanding members of the community, who are they? So you're a teacher. I used to go to Cubs with a boy, and he became a lawyer, but he's a bloody idiot. I wouldn't believe a word he said. And yet, because you get into a job which has a fancy title, people think that you're more believable. So on that day in 1977, did Elsie really see a UFO around here, perhaps on this road? We'll never know for sure. Is it so far-fetched that a UFO would come here? If I was an extraterrestrial looking to get a glimpse of life on Earth, to get a perfect microcosm of the human existence, I would probably come to West Anglia. Okay, Jeremy, this is going to be a tricky one to edit because, well, I didn't see any fairies and I didn't see any UFOs. There's things you can edit, there's things you can cut together, there's a story, there's a narrative. That's what they say, isn't it? There's a narrative. Just been a bit jaded, stuff going on. Various things going on. You know how it is, life and all that. Right, look who I'm talking to. You've had, here's me whinging. You've got a squirrel in your attic. And that was Stowe IX Churches, a very picturesque village. We didn't see any UFOs, we didn't see any fairies, but we've had a very nice stroll around a lovely village. And I never would have come here if it wasn't for those Legends of West Anglia. So I guess all that's left to say now is I'll see you again very soon. I've been Nathaniel Whiston, and this was Legends of West Anglia. Goodbye.